to the 2026 monthly meeting of the Central Coast Council here in Penguin. So every March, we are here in Penguin and we get tonight a dial up for those that might be tuning in online. And it's lovely to be here. And there's a nice bit of rain dropping outside, so that is very, very welcome. To start the meeting, I can advise that the local government regulations require that the chairperson makes the following opening statement at all council meetings in Tasmania. An audio visual recording is being made of the meeting. It will be live streamed and will remain available to the public online. All persons attending the meeting are to be respectful of and considerate towards other persons attending the meeting, and language and conduct at this meeting that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to a person attending the meeting or listening to the recording is not accepted. Councillor Wiley, would you do us the privilege of our acknowledgement and company statement of address for us too?
The Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of Lutruwita, Thalawal Pakenham people. We acknowledge the Parnala tribe of this northern country, and in doing so, we celebrate one of the world's oldest continuing cultures. And our statement of values, guided by the diverse beliefs, experiences, and backgrounds of the people we represent, we strive to make inspired and respectful decisions today that will build a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much. That takes us to item 1, which is attendance and apologies, and we have no apologies. So full faith and welcome to you all. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Councillors and staff must declare any pecuniary or conflict of interest in any open session item on the agenda. Are there any conflicts to declare? Sorry.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 3 is the confirmation of the minutes. Would Councillor care to move the recommended motion, which is that the council confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 16th of February. Councillor Smith, thank you. Seconded Councillor Viney. Any discussion? No, all those in favour raise your right hand. Item 4 is the Mayor's report, and 4.1 is the Mayor's communications. There are so many things I could communicate, but tonight I will just leave it to others. I think 4.2 is the Mayor's diary with a list of items that myself, the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Carpenter have attended on behalf of the organisation. Would Councillor care to move the recommended motion for this item? Thank you, Councillor Bestwick. Seconded Councillor Wiley. Any discussion on any of those items or questions?
Just like to add one thing to the list, Mayor. I attended on your behalf Bushwatch barbecue, which was the first get together of the Bushwatch group. It's been since COVID. It's probably been in a recess, so there's a little bit of a reset. I could only get to part of it, but it was good to catch up with the various people, you know, from four-wheel drive clubs, fire, police, emergency service, sustainable timbers, and all the people that are out in that space. So they're trying to get that going again, so there'll be probably more meetings than coming up in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for the report and thank you for attending. Councillor Carpenter.
Thanks, Mayor.
To share.
Yes, on your behalf, I attended the Community Transport Services Tasmania International Women's Day, where they celebrated the women that volunteer for, and it's a great service again. It's another one of those services around the having and we need to be able to survive and the community still exist and survive. But like all community services, they are very short for volunteers. So put the call out there. You're looking for something to do as a driver and really well organised. It's not so much taking people to doctors and stuff like that, as taking people to other shopping appointments and things where it's a totally different market, totally different people. But if you feel like something to do 1 or 2 days a week or a couple of hours a week, and you're more than going to have as a driver for CTSD.
Fabulous. Thank you for attending and thank you for the report. Anything else on the Mayor's diary? We're going to move around the seconds. We're going to move around ourselves. Let's move around seconds.
Councillor Bestwick and Councillor Wiles.
Thank you. So with there being nothing else, all those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. Thanks us to item 5, councillor reports. 5.1 is councillor communications. Anything that you choose to share with us at this time? Councillor Wiley.
Thank you. I would just like to speak about a little community-led initiative or campaign, not so little actually. So a campaign to bring Trains and I to Alston, Tasmania. So for those like my friend over here, Councillor Smith, who didn't know who Trains and I was, she is an international Australian artist. She's had #1, a song reached #1 for in 30 countries over 24 weeks. She's kind of a big deal. So I just wanted to basically congratulate Shira Flannery, who has led the initiative. There's no confirmation yet that she is coming to Alston. However, she has hinted that she is looking at Alston as for the next show. So what she's doing as part of her campaign is offering $10 tickets to region. So she's choosing 5 regional communities. She's already announced 4, and she's doing $10 tickets for people in that community. So I see that as being a really inclusive thing to do. There's a lot of people that wouldn't normally be able to get to a concert will be able to afford to do so. But Shira, who has led this campaign, has just shown so much persistence and so much passion and created so much hope and brought people together in the community to really celebrate each other. We've danced in the park, we've done all sorts of crazy things to try and get here. So regardless of whether she comes or not, we welcome her to and do what we can do, but it's a great community-led initiative that shows good community spirit, so we'll have to try.
Indeed it is. Thank you for your involvement, and I'm sure that would be a great outcome, and so we will all stay tuned. Anything else for councillors in this communications? No, thank you. It takes us to 5.2, councillor questions on notice from the taken from a previous meeting. No questions were taken on notice at that meeting. 5.3 is councillor questions on notice. I have 2 questions from councillor Wiley submitted for this meeting. Councillor Wiley, did you wish to read your questions aloud?
Yes, please, that would be great. So my first question, could you please provide an outline of the advocacy actions undertaken on behalf of council to protect the Dial Range from logging, following councillor Lehmann's motion calling for strong advocacy to cease logging in the Dial Range?
Thank you. My question is to myself, so I can respond that council recognises the strong community interest in the future management of the Dial Range. In relation to the group currently identified for logging, council has advocated for the cessation of logging through a meeting and formal correspondence with the minister, correspondence to members of the House of Assembly and the member for Montgomery, and by seeking written responses from both the Minister and the Shadow Minister. Council representatives have also met with the Chief Executive Officer, the Chair and board members of Sustainable Timbers Tasmania, as well as representatives of the Tasmanian Forest Products Association, and provided comment to members attending the Sustainable Timber Tasmania budget estimate hearings. Councillors have also engaged with a range of stakeholders, including environmental, natural resource management and community representatives, to better understand perspectives and potential opportunities associated with the Dial Range. Council was introduced to the Taupo Network of New Zealand and facilitated a meeting between Cradle Coast NRM to explore collaboration opportunities. Council has also responded to correspondence and meeting requests from representatives of the forestry sector who have raised concerns regarding council's involvement in matters related to forestry agreements and the operations of Sustainable Timbers Tasmania. Council has committed to further examining the value of the Dial Range report. Whilst the report did not make recommendations, it identified a range of environmental, economic and social values associated with the area that will help inform our considerations of long-term opportunities for the Dial Range.
Thank you. And my second question, would you please advise on the proposed next steps, including indicative timelines for council's discussion and consideration of commission report on the value of the Dial Range by Sylvester Bacon and Emily Mayer? Additionally, can you speak to how council intends to utilise the findings of this report to support the long-term environmental, social and economic value of this important natural asset for the community?
Thank you. Council's workshop is scheduled for the 30th of March this year, and we will clarify the desired outcomes stemming from the value of the Dial Range report, and agreed actions will be determined for inclusion in our initial advocacy plan that will be presented for adoption in May 2026. The value of the Dial Range Report is a crucial foundational document that will serve as a primary reference point for council, guiding both current and future actions as they pertain to the Dial Range. Good question. That takes us to 5.4, councillor questions without notice. Councillor Randall, I believe you have a question on me.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is, in October of 2025, this council passed a motion to advocate for the cessation of all logging on public land within the Dial Range. Thank you for outlining the steps and activities the council has undertaken in relation to that motion. On Tuesday, the 10th of March, it was reported that an active protest occurred in the Dial Range off Cooks Road, resulting in operations being halted due to concerns for safety of individuals. Such a shutdown would reasonably be expected to have significant financial impacts on private enterprises and individual contractors who have substantial commitments to their employees and families. While this activity and the individuals involved are not connected to the council in any way, does the council support or condone this behaviour?
And does not organise or direct protest activity, matters relating to protest activity and enforcement sit with the other relevant. 5.5 is councillor motions on notice. Oh, sorry, yes.
Sorry, no, thank you. My question is the conflict in the Middle East impacted both petrol and diesel prices locally, but also raises serious concerns about ongoing availability, especially in regions. What plans and mitigations, if any, does council have in place to ensure ongoing service delivery for our residents if fuel supplies become scarce or at risk?
Thank you so much. And that question is to myself, to did you go? We haven't actually had any formal conversation about that. We can take that on notice and come back to you. But we will certainly be it's a situation everyone is monitoring. Any more questions about those? Thank you. That takes item 6.1, petitions. No petitions have been received. 6.2, deputations, no request to address the meeting as deputations have been made. Which takes us to item 7, public question time. Thank you for those of you that are in the gallery. Sorry to toss my place there. Public question time will be conducted in accordance with regulations 33 and 36 to 38 of the local government meeting procedures regulations 2025 and our own question time policy. Public question time is limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. 3 questions were taken on notice at the 16th of February council meeting. The council's written responses to these questions are sent directly to the questioners following the meeting, and they are provided in the agenda for the purpose of record. Takes us to 7.2, public questions on notice. 1 question, a member of the public was submitted on notice for this meeting. And the question question and response, which I will read aloud, is from Mr. David Hill in Ulverston. And this question reads, there are a set of streets in West Ulverston that frequently have cars driving at excessive speeds. At a guess, I would say some cars regularly exceed 80 kilometres, 80 says miles per hour, but I don't know.
Kilometres per hour.
The main streets I'm aware of that have consistent reckless driving extend from Clara Street through to Tingle Way and into Undara Crescent and a similar route including Cardinia Crescent. As well as excessive speeds, there are frequently burnouts, cars doing fishtails through the street, often in broad daylight. I have had a car come past me and my family sideways at high speed whilst walking on a footpath. My son was only 2 years old at that stage. The death within the last year on Penwood Road highlights the issue in this area and potential associated dangers. I believe a series of permanent cameras throughout the streets will act as a deterrent, as well as being used to capture and prosecute or seize vehicles from those who are driving recklessly. Perhaps that should be seen. What actions need to be taken to approve and fund camera installation? Which government bodies will need to be involved to approve and oversee installation, council, police, state representation, etc. The response from our Director of Infrastructure Services is as follows. Council acknowledges the concerns raised about reckless driving, high vehicle speeds and criminal behaviour in a number of streets in West Ulverston. These types of issues understandably cause alarm for residents and can affect how safe people feel in their neighbourhoods. And Council appreciates the community bringing these matters to our attention. Council's current surveillance policy outlines the approved purposes for Council operating cameras. These purposes relate to the protection of Council assets and facilities. The policy does not support the use of surveillance for monitoring individual behaviour. Residential areas carry significant privacy considerations, and for that reason, Council's CCTV network is located within Council facilities, public open spaces, and the central business district or commercial areas, rather than in local streets. Council engages regularly with Tasmanian Police, including through the Community Safety Partnership Committee, to ensure community concerns are passed on and considered within their operational planning. The matters raised regarding driving behaviour in West Ulverston will be shared with the Tasmanian Police so they can determine further action. And I suppose from my perspective as the chairman of the Community Safety Partnership Committee, the message from Tasmanian Police is always to report on the non-emergency number that allows them to capture the information about activities that might be in the particular hotspots or unknown activity to them. We thank the member of the public for that question, and we certainly will raise that with them at our next community safety partnership. That takes us to 7.3, which is public questions without notice. Public questions without notice provide an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions of us relating to our activities. Statements and debate are not allowed, and any questions should be clear and succinct, please. Members of the public may ask up to 2 questions without notice at this time. Please address your questions to me, state your name, your area of residence, and advise the subject matter of the question from asking. All the questions to be asked, all questions asked are to be in accordance with the regulations. I think there's some information there on the chairs in the gallery and our public question time policy. Please note that questions relating to any item for decision at this meeting are not allowed in the interest of procedural fairness. And I advise you again that the meeting is recorded, it is being live streamed and will remain available to the public online. All of that said, a great big welcome to you all. Thank you for coming out on this rainy night in Penguin. Our best microphone for us to capture the audio of your question is located there in front of Councillor Smith. So anyone who has a question might just come to the end of that table there. State your name, tell us where you're from, answer your question tonight, we will. If not,
I've got a short and sweet one. Love it.
we're going to take long, complicated answers. No.
There, Marty.
Thanks.
I live here in Leslie Drive, but the question's about 91 Main Road. Now, my son owns the butchers here in Penguin, and frequently we have camper vans, caravans, you name it, parked outside the business. It's got a 2-hour parking out front of the shop, which should never have been put there in the first place. And one in particular here a couple of weeks ago, parked there for 4 hours. They actually sat in their caravan and ate their meals. That same caravan was seen down the street earlier that morning, and they camped there for the night in the main street. Now, as far as we're concerned, we've got a 2-hour parking on the left-hand side of the street. On the other side, it's half an hour. We want to know why they've got half an hour over there
but we haven't. But we've got a lot of elderly that come into our shops, purchase things, because they can't get a parking spot, they keep going. We lose a lot of business, they'll ring up and say, I'm going to order the stuff and pick stuff up and I'll put it. So we want to know if you can do something about it. Get those signs removed, put half an hour parking at the most.
A couple of issues there. Thank you for bringing them to our attention through your studio. Thank you for your question. I'll pass that over to the Director of Infrastructure Services.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. We're currently undertaking a parking strategy for Alderson Penguin, which is looking at what our current parking arrangements are. We've done some surveys to understand what's happening out there. So I'll take that feedback on board and feed it through the teams that are looking to that. Keep an eye on our website and our socials and whatever, because once that's ready, we'll go out to community for consultation. And if you still feel like we haven't addressed your issue, put your feedback into that consultation process, and I think that's the best way to manage those concerns.
So the best way to actually fix the whole thing, I think, would be if the campers, the caravans, and they parked it right at the end of the street or down near the actual church area.
Yeah.
So then they're not a hindrance in any of the businesses,
Yeah.
because some of them do take up 3 car spots.
Yeah, so we're also looking as part of that strategy to implement some long bay parking to cater for exactly that.
Yeah.
To, you know, there's legitimate need for those visitors, and you want those visitors to come to Penguin and spend their money and spend time there, but they need a place to park. So yeah, we're looking at addressing that at the same time.
We've got to think about our locals too. That's the thing that we, because we cater more for our locals. We do get a few of the, as I call, terrorists coming to town, but yeah, our locals are our main concern when they make a phone call and say they could get a parking spot. So if you can sort something out for us, it'd be great.
So, thank you. For you, the Director responsible for compliance and monitoring parking, did you have anything that you wanted to share or comment to make in relation to how often our compliance staff get to Penguin to look at parking constraints? We've only got a limited resource there.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to the question, Mayor, but the staff obviously have 900 square kilometres of municipality to patrol, but they are in Penguin on a regular basis. We've recently put on additional compliance staff to assist primarily with the monitoring of our new camping bylaw, but that person's also able to assist with parking and other complaints. But I think the issues that Nick has spoken to, are a key issue.
Any other questions from the gallery, please? Sure.
Hello, my name is Linda Coombs. I host my to council. Pleased to see you again. In follow up to on previous questions to council, I'm just going to give you a bit of a background. I have spoken to council previously regarding the use of e-scooters and bikes in Reedy Street and around the CBD and the Alston. My concerns remain the same, even though police are now doing random checks. I enclosed photos of signage I observed in the road recently where signs regarding the illegal use of bikes and e-scooters, etc., in the high street are placed at ground level on the sides of the waste bins. And to me, that seemed like a really effective idea. As consensus shows that the current signage in Reedy Street isn't being observed or adhered to, I'd also like to put forward white or yellow painted signage be put on the footpaths directly on the pavers, so the lettering could be, 18 inches tall. Obviously, these would still need to be enforced by police, but I heard recently in Queensland that there's been 12 deaths from the use of e-scooters and electric bikes. I've sent you a copy of the signage I observed in Latrobe. And so what the question I'm asking today of the council is, what is council doing to preserve the safety of pedestrians using Reedy Street footpaths of the CBD considering these pathways are being utilised by young people using scooters and e-bikes, both electric and manually powered, as thoroughfares for these vehicles. Question 2, will I go on to question 2?
Yes, please.
In response to suggestions, I heard from council that the installation of painted signage and also signage on the garbage bins along Reedy Street could be considered as a proposal for the upcoming plans for the upgrades to Reedy Street. Is council prepared to wait until an inevitable tragedy unfolds? And who then would be legally held responsible, culpable for any of the injuries that ensued? To date, the signage is elevated, and I'd say it's about 8 foot off the ground. It's not at the eye line of these riders, which is about eye height, and does not appear adequate as riders of these vehicles, scooters and bikes, continue to do so at pedestrians' peril. When this signage is brought to the attention of the perpetrators, which I have done on numerous occasions, because I am concerned for my safety and also that of my cohort, most often than not, that it is met with disdain and abuse. One child I spoke with stated he couldn't read the signage, which, considering that these don't have any written words, they've just got pictures of a scooter and a bike with a cross through it. Makes one think that this is just purposely being ignored. I feel if the signage is at eye level and it is actually on the footpath, then these perpetrators cannot say they're not aware, and then they can be held accountable. I'd hate for a tragedy to happen. I heard today that it's now 14 deaths in Queensland.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your ongoing advocacy of this regarded matter. So you have 2 questions there relating to this issue. Do you want to respond to those?
So certainly from your advocacy, which has been lovely, we still are raising that with police. I think from the time that you came and spoke to us council last time, there has been proactive policing, and there was a great engagement with the youth at that time. So we will still continue to advocate through the community partnerships. With respect to signage, certainly Reedy Street redevelopment is a key part of that. We would look to see, I think, from a more efficient, probably cost-effective position to look to see what we can do in a longer-term perspective. But it doesn't mean that we may not be able to look for a short-term perspective. So if you do talk about, I think, the waste bins, and there might be something we can look to see what waste bins are available in the street, and that could be something that is intermediate. So we can consider that as well.
And I just say, I thought myself that the painted signs would be cost effective because it's literally just paint with the words written on the footpath, no bikes, no scooters.
I think any solution will have a cost to it. So yeah, I think it's probably a case of assessing what's the most impactful and effective solution in an interim until we finish all the work we're doing with Reedy Street.
As we have learned with the pavement signage in relation to smoking or no smoking in Ram Street, we have learned that isn't a good long-term solution. They erode very quickly, and actually quite costly to replace the government. Is there a reason for you? So is there a reason that signs like that are a particular height? Yeah.
Yeah, the Australian standards around the height of signs, and particularly when it comes to pedestrians, signs at eye level, whilst they might seem like a good idea for visibility, are actually quite a hazard if people hit them with their face. There's plenty of examples where people, particularly parking signs, have flounced inside on and caused quite an injury. So the Australian standards require them to be up at that height so that they can't get hit by someone on a bike or walking past. But so long as we design them in a way that you couldn't hit them, like for example on the side of a bin or something like that, it's, you know, it might not be the primary regulatory control that we need to do, but it could be a reminder type signage that could assist.
We're happy to consider those issues.
So just getting to the question, who then is legally responsible should a tragedy occur?
It would be like any other crash that occurs. So there would be some form of investigation like led through Tasmania Police, and they will determine what the cause of that crash was and how to proceed from there.
I suppose in short, there's no blanket statement about who would be, because it would be circumstantial, wouldn't it, depending on an individual circumstance. But to your point about our legal responsibilities for them occurring, given that we have an instruction there and we provided the signage that police require, would count, if that's the individual, it's a bit hard to answer. You can't, but it has a lot of inputs into it, and there are a lot of laws and a lot of parameters, investigations would happen, and so it's depends on many things. So
Thank you, and some good suggestions regarding the signage, and we will continue to do what we can. As I know, council all across Australia are, and particularly the state government in New South Wales is starting to use some enforcement measures regarding the purchase and sale of the scooters. So I personally would welcome that in Tasmania. We'll continue to have. Thank you. Any other questions, please? Mr. Jones. Welcome.
Thank you. Boris Jones, Westminster Road, Pittsburgh. Two questions that are sort of related. Before the questions, can I just express my appreciation of council coming to Penguin on your annual pilgrimage. I personally really appreciate it, and I rather thought there might have been more people here, but obviously things are quiet, so there are no issues, I guess. Through the two questions, they are related. Firstly, I'd like, if I can, abbreviate the progress report on the developments of this site. As a member of the cricket club, I needed some consultation, probably back about September, I think it might have been, whether it was design proposal of the building and various other work that's to go on. As far as I'm aware, there's been no communication with the stakeholders, such as the cricket club, since that point, it's really with the public documentation. So I'm just looking at something, I think, more current when we might see it going.
If we can understand that first read.
I'll give you the second one as well. We go with it because they are related.
Two is better than one.
Yeah, two is better than one. So this is on behalf of the Greenfield probably as much as anything of the playground out here, much of it's been closed off, and the favourite swing removed for a period of time, and they really like it. And obviously the developments are going to Greenfield eventually, but it's been there for now some months. It's not been decided, so maybe a response around that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're pleased to see you here relatively well. For you, Steve. Mr. Jones, in relation to your first question, we have actually submitted those design concepts to government, to the minister. So the next stage is getting a response from the minister about whether they're meeting the requirements before we go to the next step. So we actually haven't had a response from the minister, and unfortunately, we do believe that he actually has taken us a personal leave for a little while, but we are following up. So once we get that from the minister, we actually do have a business plan associated with that will be considered by council for the dial. And as we are aware, we do know that in forward estimates, there has been an allocation of funding for construction work, but we need the tick off from the minister of the mission concepts as the first stage before we can actually proceed with the next stage and make sure council's aware of the investment that we will be making on behalf of the community for any changes to the dial. Yeah. In relation to your second question, I'm not quite sure about the playground, so I might just need to refer to do you know regarding the swings? Yeah.
I'd have to take it on notice. I don't have an answer off the top of my head, sorry.
Thank you. Who's the responsible?
Mr. Diamond, it's on leave for a couple of months due to ill health, but an acting, of course, has been appointed in his absence, but as you'll appreciate, things then slow down to everything and before, so it will be difficult. Sorry, I just wanted to pick up on Norris's question in relation to communication with stakeholder groups. So could we have some indication of when a group such as the Penguin Cricket Club would be brought up to speed on that, or have they? Perhaps Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I have talked to Louise just in passing, but not in a formal capacity, so I've just taken down a note. It'd be good to send out to the stakeholder group just to update them on the, I suppose, lack of progress at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Questions? Mr. Abood.
I'll use this thing. Just short and sweet, tonight. I don't like doing councillors, Ben. Not like you, short and sweet. But, yeah, Kevin Abood from Ulster. During the last 2 years, Lee has asked a very and wide range of questions for the benefit of both all of you around the table, as well as the local community. A full copy of all my questions have always been published in the following month's agenda. That is until last month, where only a very small percentage of both my preamble and question were added. This leads to my question for tonight. Is this providing all of you individual councillors, the Central Coast community and the broader region with correct interpretation? If not, please explain how this is not misinformation of my question and preamble and leaving out a large amount of pertinent facts. Tabled is another copy of my question and preamble.
Thank you, Speaker. So I understand that the preamble is not included in the minutes. Is that standard practice? And did you get a comment about that?
Yeah, council has especially the document content or a preamble that it does actually include in the minutes. We do actually, following each meeting, because the meetings are recorded, we do sit down and we do review the actual interaction for your questions. We also do provide written responses for your questions as well. So we make, we'll make a determination at the time whether it may be, we can take enough from what you've actually said in your preamble to actually be a good representation of the issue. So it's certainly not a case that we're trying to actually censor anything. It's just a case of brevity sometimes is something that we take as an action in actually relaying what you've relate to us in the project.
Including the online recording, obviously, and the meeting,
It's very, very short. It was the shortest by far. And my question also, my full question last month, I've had longer questions in the past, of which they've all been published. The very only a portion of that was published.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. Thank you. Thanks for raising that. I appreciate that. Any other questions from the gallery? Might be called as thank you. As always, we appreciate your questions. We appreciate your comments. There being nothing further, we will move on to section 8, which is council acting as a planning authority, and 8.1 is the recommendation regarding moving to that state, which is recommended motion for this item, please. Thank you, Councillor Wiley, seconded Councillor Bedsby. No discussion. All those in favour, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. Oh, sorry, except the left handers. I know it's left.
Against it, right?
On the left, you know. That's unanimous. Thank you. Takes to 8.2, which is actually the development application for the business accommodation campsite, short-term overnight retrospective application for Preservation Bay. You have the report in front of you. When you are ready, would someone care to move for the suggested resolution? Councillor Carpenter, Councillor Van, Councillor Carpenter, do you wish to call to the motion?
I'm very quickly there because it's a big detailed report. Because we want to see it's done exceptionally well and done out of council hands also. Independently done, which is much appreciated on such a topic that we've got taken a whole load of the conclusion going. So I think this is one project that's come through to fruition, and the DA just tops it off because you think back 2 years ago, what it was like out with like 1, 2, 3 years ago, what it's like today. This is something that this report can just cap off. So this is a beautiful project that the council has done extremely well. So to the staff, I thank you very much for how they've got through this. They dealt with the topic and the people that were shared in there originally, and here's what we've got to today. I believe everything's been addressed really well. I know the representation with text and spaces, when you get past that phase now, It's so, and to be so handled. There's always room, there's always people got tons of room to take the people who benefits. But certain things to change in years to come, be part of it, they are something like this, on track. To take it on to really endorse this, I think it's wonderful. It's the final piece to this. And it's a wonderful end to a good story and congratulate staff on this and thank you very much, because that is a real masterpiece of the for all the guys specific listeners.
Thank you so much. And Councillor Beres. Councillor Beswick.
Just briefly, Mayor, I concur with everything Councillor Carbon has mentioned, and there's some negative feedback naturally now that we're charging for campsites. But I take it with a grain of salt, because in the end, if we want to maintain these venues, these campsites to a reasonable standard, it comes at a cost, and it shouldn't become as a cost to the community. And so again, like Councillor Carbon, I commend the staff for the work that's been done with that, because it's been onerous at times and challenging. And let's hope that everybody enjoys what is our beautiful coastline, and it's worth paying a little bit to be able to have that beautiful location. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
I'll be very quick. Thank you, Mayor. We generally only speak to the recommendation, and it is a great report being put together. And as much as I hate when somebody regurgitates another words of another councillor, unfortunately, Councillor Carpenter also already pointed out that it was done independently. That's what I was going to lead in with. He's on point today. But look, absolutely a great report. And as a councillor, it's one thing we always look at as what is fair. And I believe what this pulls together is something that is fair. It's fair for our visitors, it's fair for our community, and it's fair for the environmental impacts to the area as well. And as a council, we often work towards resolutions that I guess where we can work collaboratively with each other and come to an arrangement where everyone feels heard and has equal representation. And I believe that what we have done is presented something that is very fair all round. So it's something to stand behind, and it does look great as well, as Councillor Calvin mentioned. A few years ago, it did reach the point where it was looking very untidy. I'll be blunt about that. Whereas now coming past, it's certainly come a long way, and something very proud of. What a great place to stop. How lucky are our visitors?
I just want to say, I know myself as the same as many, it's always heartwarming to drive along the coast and see how many people are actually camping and wanting to be in Central Coast. So to be able to have areas like that are nice and clean now and neat looking, yeah, just makes it a great, not only a great visual, but I'm sure a better atmosphere to what it was. On the back of the caravan.
Putting it this way, it understanding this. One of the action, capital works was done in really good time. Some time years ago. It's just a great story. Something you can be very proud of. So it shows what you can do if you prepare the work for the most part of the outcome that you want.
Okay. Have been said, I'll put the motion for those in favour, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Takes us to item 9, which is the office of the CEO and Mayor, and 9.1, which is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Full report there for you. When you are ready, we don't have a councillor as a recommend. By seconded Councillor Wyman, Councillor Hahn.
I think it's a very comprehensive report, and I think it's very straightforward in its contents and very readable to the council, and I'm pleased to endorse it.
We summed it up.
Um,
Thank you.
I didn't repeat that one.
2. That's the director's letter. And you get it.
Short focus.
Thank you. I'm going to, it's the appointment of acting, should be into officers in the absence of our CEO, Councillor Deadman, recommending motion to this item, please. So, Councillor Carpenter, second by Councillor Viney. Councillor Carpenter, did you wish to speak to this?
Very quickly, Mayor, I am so pleased to see this in place. It's a great thing to have sitting here in front of us, and as councillors, we know now that when the CEO is off with illness or anything else, that there's no ifs, buts, or maybes.
Yeah.
So congratulations on Don overdue.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Viney.
Just like to add that we're very, very fortunate with this council to have very, very two capable directors, as has been proven when they've taken over CEO's position in the past. It's been seamless in the way that they have acted on our behalf.
Just very quickly, Mayor, having a strategy in place as identified, it works in well with contingency and resilience, so that if there is interruption, we can continue this momentum that we're on as a council, and would like to certainly pass my thank you forward for those who have put these implementations into place as well.
Section 10, which is community services, 10.1 is the arts and culture strategy and action plan. It's the arts and culture strategy for 23-28 and updated strategy plan. Again, both are recommended by thank you, Councillor Dickrose. Thank you, Councillor Molly. Councillor Dickrose, wish to speak to you?
Yeah, look, I just want to say it is actually great to see this in place. I mean, arts and culture play such a big part in our community. It's so good for the well-being of so many mentally, getting people out. The Hive, what that's brought to our community has been amazing, and having people come from across the Northwest Coast to be and look at the galleries and stuff that we have had on display. So it's just great to have that there, and look forward to lots more things that can be done on the Northwest Coast as far as our arts and culture go.
And having working on the arts and culture. I echo what you say, it's very good for so many parts of our community, well-being, not being one of the smallest things. So yeah, this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Desmond.
I just wanted to read out one small section out of it that really pricked my thoughts. Culture springs first and foremost from human interaction. Making culture is a daily public event, not just in schools, in the media, in the culture houses, but also in the streets, shops and cafes. Culture is not a pile of artifacts, it is us, the living, breathing, some of us. I just thought that was the words of, they were words from John Hawke's book, and yeah, they grabbed my thoughts as I read through that. So just want to share them with you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Nicholas, wish to close?
No, Mayor.
Thank you for the motion. Unanimous, thank you. Section 11 is corporate services, and 11.1 is the financial report being provided with the financial report for the period ending the 28th of February. When you read it, could I have a council recommendation, please? Thank you, Councillor Barney. Seconded, Councillor Bestwick. Councillor Barney, did you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, I'm just pleased to receive the year-to-date figures at this stage of this meeting. Once again, very clear and concise report put in by the finance department. But also just want to note that we're still on track to bring in an underlying surplus of 41,000, which is great. But hopefully the events of the past fortnight within the Middle East don't impact too much upon those figures, but I believe they will. But hopefully we've got enough in the tank to get us through with a surplus.
Yeah, finance policy was adopted some months ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was. So we noticed that the money's moved from TP Wealth to secure account, so people want to notice that, so that's been acted on and policy. I was going for a long time.
Other speakers to the financial report. Councillor Barney, anything to
No, thanks.
add to comments? Sorry, I've come to this up there. In that case, I'll put the motion to us to favour, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. 11.2 is the modernisation plan 26 to 2030. We have a recommendation there that you adopt the Forward Together Modernisation Plan 2026 to 2030 and note that it suspends the digital strategy from 2022. This is an extensive and important matter. When you're ready, can I have council move the recommended motion for this item, please? Layman, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Councillor Layman.
Thank you. I just have a couple of notes about this motion. There's no doubt that we need to modernise our council system of symptoms in the background. This is a very ambitious plan, but it's required. And I guess what we're putting in place will take 4 years for us to get there. So that will leave us at the technology state that we're at today. So I think things will advance in 4 years' time, and I'm suggesting that we just be mindful of having regular reviews of the plan to take advantage of advancing technology, which I know is touched on in our workshop. Additionally, the costs are also at today's prices, which will most likely change in 4 years' time. So I think just being mindful that things are most likely going to change by the time we get to where we're going. It's going to be an ongoing period of adjustment. I wouldn't underestimate the time and effort that goes into building new systems and the impacts on operational obligations. There's hidden gotchas in system implementation, such as data collection and data migration of legacy systems, that we shouldn't be overlooking in context of continuing operational obligations. We mustn't forget those who are not digitally enabled, because they don't want to or they can't. As despite our modernisation plan, we must continue to offer ways for this cohort to participate. That's right, just a couple more points there. The introduction of AI tools as part of Horizon 1, I strongly believe should be supplemented with a policy on AI usage and guidelines for staff to ensure we're keeping private, confidential and commercial information safe and ensuring that our staff are aware of the guardrails before implementation. It's the mere recommendation. And lastly, it's about computers and systems. This is an entire cultural shift in the organisation. But while we have taken steps to strengthen our culture already, some staff need support as they make their way into the future. Change can be very scary in some, and what's happening might not make sense to them. So I'm urging the council as an organisation to ensure that all help is made available to staff as we transition to this new law.
Yes, thank you for your contribution. Any other speakers?
Andrew, also,
Yes, Councillor Governor.
I'm totally endorse Councillor Layman's But they're sadly trying to muddle their way through it. And I'm really looking forward to this meeting. We have no choice. I think what people might see is they'll see the spend and they might see any work out on the outside, so that somewhere near the finish line. We have no choice. We've got to push our way through it with the architecture design in what building. It'll bring us up into the section where we need to be. Totally against what Councillor Lane said. Those sorts of things right on come through and hopefully fill through the right way. This is a must. Must indeed and support and fund this and not go weak to the needs at some stage in the next 4 years.
Thank you, councillor Cotton. Any other statements, councillor Beresford?
Just briefly, thanks, Lane, for your in-depth summary of that, because that takes into account everything that we've been working towards. And it's something, as Councillor Carter mentioned, it's long overdue from my perspective. You know, there's lots of systems which aren't talking together and all the rest of it. So I think it will be money well spent in the short to medium term and even better in the long term as we move into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we've discussed this in the workshop as well, and I shared at the time it was something I had to concentrate on very hard because it wasn't something of my interest level. And there may be other people in the public who similarly think the same thing, and they'll look at the dollar figure and say, is this where the council is spending the money? Equally, it will be the same people who expect fast responses, data at their fingertips, and ease of systems. So whilst it's not something that I get passionate about when it comes to digital technologies, I do love the improvement in service delivery, and thank for that greater, I guess, visionary thinking to pull this strategy together, and the council's commitment into delivering and keeping up with this next turn, and where business will be developing in the future.
Commencement, I think that the staging, it seems quite realistic to myself as an onlooker, and in relation to the service delivery, that is exactly what it's about. It's about improved productivity and service delivery. And it perhaps wasn't obvious to me until I took this role and started working more within the organisation, that I got a greater appreciation of the duplicated systems and people doing their own thing, myself included, and saving things to my laptop when I wasn't supposed to be, and all of those types of things which all impact on productivity and customer service. So they are the things that our values state that we are focused on, and this is very much part of getting there. And my thanks to your team. I know it's a big visible. Any other things? I'm fine for the district calls. Very good. Excellent. Now, that's in favour, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. I'll then take this to item 12, which is infrastructure services. 12.1 is the open space plan and Fairway Park master plan. Speaking of large pieces of work that we've been able to progress in the past, here is another one. So you're being asked to adopt the open space plan 25 to 35, noting that it supersedes the open space and recreational plan for 2022 and adopt the Fairway master plan February 2026. Where did the years go? Councillor Kevin has recommended, please. Thank you, Councillor Benali. Second, Councillor Beresford. Councillor Holly, did you wish to speak to your motion?
I will speak to this one, and as you said, it's a huge body of work, so there's a lot to speak to, really. It's all really well laid out, and it's the open space master plan as well as the Fairway Park master plan. It's a lot of work in there, and a lot of good work. So this is about, again, service delivery, providing better for our communities, providing better parks and playgrounds that are more inclusive and that are some of them are regional parks, so we can attract people to our municipality. but also to look at asset management and what we're trying to maintain that perhaps we don't want to need. So that is a big woven piece of work. I do have some concerns in future have raised with the CEO that I know will come across the council table. So I'm pleased to adopt it as a plan moving forward, knowing that even though we've got pieces of work that we'll get to another time.
Thank you. Yeah, the speakers. Councillor Deswich.
Yeah, just a few things, Mayor. It's great to see, as everybody's mentioned, it's a huge piece of work. We've got a lot of feedback from the community and generally it's been pretty positive with where we're at. The document, if people are interested in it, it sets out the various types of outdoor spaces, but in the end, watch each category, the service level that each of those provides, whether it's regional or local or whatever. So if anybody's interested in those sort of things, there's some areas of consolidation in there where areas are over serviced. So those areas will be addressed. They're the items in the open space plan. As far as the Fairway Park Master Plan, it's interesting. There's $2.5 million worth of assets in that Fairway Park Master Plan currently. Naturally, these plans depend on funding, so it's nothing to people think that this is all going to happen overnight. One item I'd like to just raise, which is in the Fairway Park Master Plan, it mentions about tree vandalism, which nobody wants to see that happen. But we need to be sensitive about when we go to landscape areas. Often when vandalism happens, especially with your young trees, it's perhaps because somebody nearby, you know, what they've had as their view, you know, their aspect, can get blocked out by the wrong plantings and the wrong location. So we need to be sensitive to the areas that we're going in. Everybody, you know, I love trees as much as anybody else. It's the right trees, the right spaces, and you know, have it so that you've got filtered areas and so forth. So I encourage, as this is developed, that we consider the people in these areas that have been living there for, in lots of cases, for a long time.
How wonderful it is to see these plans here. Our community, the Central Coast has got amazing areas for parks and playgrounds, and to see a lot of things that have been requested over the time now being brought up in here is absolutely fantastic, with one being enclosed toddler area, so grandparents can actually, or great grandparents can take their little grandchildren to the park knowing that they're safe, that they physically don't have to chase a certain period. And that's, you know, that does stop a lot of elderly grandparents, etc., being able to do that kind of stuff. So it'd just be good. Hopefully there'll be some seats in there for them to be able to actually sit down and watch as well. Another thing that I'm very excited about is, after nearly 13 years of when I first bring it up, is to see the mention of a toddler toilet in here. That is great, and it just goes to show, like, not for myself, but some things take a long time to be put into practice financially, etc. So to see all this come to fruition now is absolutely great. One thing I would like to see happen and talk about later, if we can, is that when we're doing new builds of facilities, like toilets and things that are disability friendly or accessible, that hopefully we can actually look at putting in a 1 or 2 public showers that are accessible also in the near future. So I'd really like to take see if we can take the advantage of that new build in doing that down there in that area, because I think that would be a great location. But yeah, fantastic to see this, and yeah, thank you to all the staff and everyone for the work that's been put in here.
Yeah, thank you. We have referred to it as a large document a few times. I'm going to call it a beast. It's a monster document. It is quite, I would like to speak to the level of care that our staff has gone to inside this document as well, and the strategic plan. So we're talking about a master plan for 10 years. And quite often when you've got a developing area, or we'll have a developing area here at the Central Coast, it might be referred to as the house that Jack built. One room goes on at a time. And without actually stepping back and having a look at where that master plan is going, it's hard to get in the picture of what the future might look like and the future needs. We're an evolving community. But I'd like to congratulate those who are involved, because what they've done is took a step back. And that's actually very hard to do when you're actually working internally within the beast itself. It's a big project. We look after so many parks, landscapes and everything else, but they took a step back. And in that process of consultation, there's also been, the director will correct me on this, I'm going to call it a rubric, where they have measured what is the required of the open space as far as toilets, playgrounds, information of walking, what defines it, and has actually set themselves a really good key to do this bit of research work that's gone into it, and defining what those areas will be. It is going to be over a 10-year plan, and it'll be interesting to see as we move through this time, as the plans develop, as they roll out, as a council, we'll be seeing those implemented over time, but give some direction as well. So I would like to thank those who have put a tremendous amount of work and effort into preparing this for us this evening.
Sorry, Mayor.
Is there a question, councillor?
No, it's a statement. It's just saying how I forgot to mention how wonderful it is to see a water park being mentioned down around the water slide area. Yeah, so I just want to acknowledge that.
Yes.
It's clear indication of early planning. It's what I'm just looking down. So the document, some clear indications, clear action to the and you on video, our people of the community should see things improving. Another life on those for about 3 years, 5 years. It's starting to this needs to be done, or this has to be done. Don't pick it on the road, it's on the stone. That's why I really like it. Over the flag, it's only been track. Set safe around.
It does indeed. Thank you for your involvement.
Anybody else? Councillor Harney, if you wish to close.
I would actually, because I don't feel like I sound excited about the first one. These very master plans. I've got 2 boys that spend every hour of their weekend at their park, at the stack shop, at the bump jump track, and that is maybe it is a secret that we actually have to be set in Tasmania besides apparently. But to see that Fair Work Park master plan is aimed at all the ages. There's some really great plans there for the 10 to 16-year-old group, which is very much appreciated, but also the younger ones, the fenced-in playground and the dinosaur bench to an extent, which I'm sure former councillor Sketch will be very pleased with. So I think that's a lot of satisfaction.
Thank you. Great. There being nothing further, I put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. That takes us to section 13, strategic growth, and 13.1, the development support determination. So a report there that provides you the activities and timelines from our development support, and we can move that motion, please. The best way to see the councillor Carpenter, councillor Daisy, anything you'd like to share there?
No, nothing much to share. Just it's interesting, looking through, our patrols and so forth, dogs, and everything else. Just noticing the director might be able to fill us in parking infringements. We obviously haven't had any infringements this financial year. Just wondered whether we're not going to get an update on if that's a staffing issue, or we're working with the new system.
Councillor Director and I spoke about this today as being a severe issue with issuing infringement, so that's why they haven't happened. So we're working on that.
Not a problem. Thank
I'm sure the software issue will be rectified shortly.
Post toast.
Not that it's not that I hope that it's a huge revenue earner.
Thank you, councillor Beswick. Any other speakers?
Just a quick comment there again, I like the DA's coming in, normally you might see a drop off. Interest rates moving, not one, and now DA's are still breaking even, still moving ahead over the last 5 months. It's 5 months.
Councillor Beswick, anything to close?
No.
No, look at my shoulders, thankfully, for the right hand, that's unanimous, thank you so much. That takes us to section 14, which is the closed session of the meeting, and 14.1 is closing the meetings to the public meetings. Closing the meeting. Would the council prepare to move that recommendation, possibly the council of Andrew and councillor Wiley, all those in favour, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous, thank you. That brings us to the end of our open session of our meeting. Thanks all of your attention. Thank you for going with us. Councillor Smith, that's a task for myself.